171 5431 Courage Drive, reported house fire within traffic. We're on the line with an elderly female. She's advising. She's trapped in her second floor bedroom. Her house is on fire. She can't get out. Ready to engine 161. We've attempted multiple callbacks and keeps going to voicemail. Battalion 92 establishing Courage Drive command.
So as we're approaching our door, we're sizing it up. This is our observe and orient. I'm looking at my conditions. I got my wood frame wall. I got a metal door, metal frame. A metal door, a metal frame makes a different sound than the wall. Okay? And just by feel, I can tell if the door is recessed into the frame, I can tell that it's an inward opening door. Feeling the opposite side, I can feel there's no hinges present. So even without looking, I can feel there's no hinges present. If I feel the doorknob, that lets me know the orientation or swing of the door. Compared. This door opens and operates in this direction. By virtue of my size up, I can feel no hinges, feel my door. I have a doorknob, I understand that the door is going to operate. So as I'm moving towards the door, I'm sizing up my conditions, I'm observing, I'm orienting. I've got a wood frame wall, I've got a metal door, and a metal frame. Okay, I'm going to use the building to protect me as I start out. I'm going to check, peel my glove back using the wristlets are a little thinner. I'm feeling for heat down low and moving high. I realize if I encounter heat down low, I can anticipate it's going to get hotter as I move up. Check and try the door, because we always try before we pry. The door is locked. I'm visualizing the locks that I've got here, and I want to operate with about 6 inches from the locks that I can see. So if you picture, that's about the length of my adze. So I've got 2 locks visible. I'm going to split them. Because I have a nice rabbited jamb or a metal frame to pull off of, I'm going to get my position in here with my adze, get a good location here, and if you notice, I'm going to exert force as far away as I can to really put a hurting on the door, okay? If the pike is pointing up, I'm going to send the forks down, and I really want to try to get the maximum gap that I can. So if I got daylight here, before I back my tool off, I can hold what I got, pull a door chock, and I can keep it to hold my progress. Okay? Once I get it set here, I can even maybe give it a couple of taps to get it in a better position. Now, if I can get my tool all the way around the frame, oh, I got this door. Okay? I can take a knee now, get my face piece on. When the time comes to pull up the door, I can push. If it doesn't go, I can roll my bar. I can push again. Once my door goes, I'm going to reach in, hook it, pull it closed. I'm controlling that door. Because when we force entry, we're ventilating. And we don't want to make that ventilation point and start bringing the heat, smoke, and fire towards us.
So in this video, we're going to show 2-person forcible entry with the bar guy and the axe guy. All right. So the proper positioning for our axe guy, he's going to have 1 knee down, all right, and 1 knee up, and that allows him to be able to move in a position fast as the bar guy is moving. All right. So the bar guy, his sole position is going to be only to look at the bar and to watch it steer around in between the door and the rabbit of the frame. All right. The bar guy never looks at the axe guy. He only looks at his tool, making sure it moves the way it's supposed to move. All right. Our bar guy, we're going to reposition his hand so that his dominant hand is upside down underneath the adze. That way his wrist is always protected by the adze. All right. Our axe guy, when he's actually striking, he's going to make sure his axe is always up and down. All right. We never want to have the axe sideways. If the axe is sideways, we have to be dead on every time. Whereas he could have potential to miss and slide down the top of the adze and hit this guy in the wrist. They work off of 3 commands, which are hit, drive, and stop. this particular evolution, you're going to do two-person forcible entry on an outward swinging door. All right. So this particular setup, Axeman's in the same position as he was for the inward swinging door. The barman is in the same position as well. The barman, he has to use all of his senses when he's doing the outward swinging door. All right. So the barman, he's going to have his head looking down at the ads. He's going to be watching the ads. All right. He's also going to be listening to the ads, because as the bar is being driven, it's going to ting. When the bar meets resistance, it's going to talk. So when the bar meets resistance, the bar will no longer be able to go any further past the rabbit or the stop. All right. So the barman has to be able to hear that. He has to be able to see that. He also needs to be able to feel that, because when the bar meets resistance, it's going to rattle down the bar, just like a baseball player would catch a ball off of a bat just right. So using all those senses, he's going to make sure that he's watching this bar as it goes in between the door and the actual frame up against the rabbit or the stop. Once he gets the bar in and it meets resistance, he's going to pull back the bar just a little bit, enough that he can look in here and see daylight, and then the Axeman's going to drive the bar the rest of the way around the back side of the door. Once you got the bar all the way on the back side of the door, the barman's going to pull the door and get the door to pop. We just have to make sure on our swinging door that when we're getting the door to pop, we do have control of it, because we don't want the door to fly back and lose control. All right, so go ahead, guys.
Hit. 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 Hit.
So if you're arriving on an ambulance engine company squad or truck on the initial water rescue assignment, at a minimum, you should be wearing a helmet, PFD, and you should have a throw bag. If it's not on your apparatus, you should be getting a hold of your respective corporation chiefs, your battalion chiefs, shift supervisor, and let them know, because that should be a count of the basic county standard with your apparatus. For our policy, if you look for the water rescue response, you should not be within 10 feet of the water's edge without any type of PPE on. However, out of good practice, if you're arriving on the initial water rescue assignment, as soon as you dismount the vehicle, you should have a helmet and PFD on if available. If not, then you should be limiting your participation in the incident. So can your structural helmet be used and or your gear around the water? Absolutely no. The reason for that is so that turnout gear is provided additional weight. The water is going to get into the gear, it's going to act like a sponge and absorb it up. Your structural fire helmet has a wider brim. It's not designed like a lot of the water rescue and technical rescue helmets, so where they're kind of more narrowed. They have openings in the helmets to allow water and air to pass through. You have a choice between a structural fire helmet and no helmet at all for a water rescue. You should not be wearing a structural fire helmet. Confirm the incident description, being where is it located at, how many victims are involved, or the victims in a vehicle, what's the color of the vehicle, what's the make, what's the model, anything that you can give us that will provide a better understanding of the victim's appearance than what we can look for. When was the point last seen? Point last seen is if I saw somebody walking down the street, floating down the river. Give the exact location. Last known point would be an article of clothing. So if you're walking around on the ground and this is confirmed piece of clothing, whether it's a shoe or a hat or whatever that the occupant had on, if this is theirs, you can report the last known point that it was seen. So that will give you a clue of how long ago did they get in the water, where did they get in the water at, and or just a generalized search area. So you should not be going into the water to effect a rescue. That is a technician level skill. If you are able to train with throw bags, which is a shore-based skill, you could use a throw bag to get out to the victim just to extend their reach. However, you cannot commit to the water. use that throw bag as if it were a ladder that you're putting in place, reaching out to somebody, getting it there, and giving them further instructions. Think of it as a stabilization line. So the types of hazards that the awareness level personnel should let the incoming technicians, or the boat companies, swiftwater stations know, give a size up of the incident. So if behind the car there was a guardrail, you need to let them know that, hey, 10 feet behind the car, there's a guardrail. A guardrail is a type of strainer. A strainer is an object that will allow water to pass through it, but not an object. An object will get entrapped. Any other types of hazard, where it's a manhole cover, storm drain, power lines down the water, any types of hazardous materials in the water. It's the orientation of the waterway that you're operating, whether it's a stream, it's a creek, it's the river, okay? So if I'm looking downstream towards the tree in this car, downstream is going to be the flow. The flow will be moving down from the upstream side. So behind us will be upstream. So to the right will be river right, to the left will be river left. So it does not matter which side of the incident that you're on, you're always going to associate orientation of the river by facing downstream. Once again, the flow is going this way, that's downstream. My right is river right, my left is river left, and then behind me it'd be upstream.
How's it going, guys? Firefighter paramedic Stephen Ward. We're out here at Station 31 on A shift. Today we're going to go over high performance CPR with an emphasis on minimal compression interruptions while using the AED. So we've been dispatched to the cardiac arrest. We've already arrived on scene. We've done the patient assessment. We've established that it's pulseless and apnea. The aid provider from the ambulance is going to start chest compressions right away. First thing they're going to do. The importance here for the chest compressions is going to be quality, rate, recoil, and depth. So we want good quality compressions. We want good depth, at least 2 inches, a minimum of 100 compressions a minute, full recoil. The driver of the ambulance, he's going to apply the AED right away. The important thing is the chest compressor does not stop compressions to apply the AED. This can be done around his hands, just as you can see. He's going to apply the AED pads. He's going to turn the AED on. The officer from the engine is going to arrive on scene, and he's going to have not only the stopwatch, but a metronome from our county-approved kit. First thing the AED is going to want to do is analyze. He's going to push the analyze button. Important thing here is, as it analyzes, this is the only time that we stand clear. It's going to take less than 10 seconds, and unfortunately we're inhibited by the AED time that it takes. As soon as it's done analyzing, we're going to continue compressions as that charges. As it charges, and once it's charged, these two are going to do a 3-second countdown.
3, 2, 1, shock.
After the 3-second countdown, the shock is administered with a very minimal interruptions. At this point, we'll have the ALS provider arrive, and we'll do the ALS portion of this high-performance CPR. He's going to arrive with a monitor. He's going to turn his monitor on, and the first thing he's going to do is attach the AED pads to his monitor, and he becomes the AED. Again, as all this happens, we don't stop CPR. The ALS provider can also use their metronome on the monitor. When the medic is going to use his metronome, all he needs to do is press this CPR button, and it automatically starts. Given that this is a BLS initially, there is no airway, so it's going to be adult, no airway. This is going to give you 100 compressions a minute. The way to stop this is very easy. Scroll this down, stop metronome. So as soon as he has the metronome on his monitor, you can turn off the other monitor. And we want to complete the compressions on the metronome. We're going to go for a 2-minute cycle. We have to do 2 full 2-minute cycles for a total of 4 minutes prior to applying the loop. Alright, so as the compressor goes, it's important to have the high quality compressions. Good depth, full recoil, and the rate. He's on the metronome. We want to keep this going and continuous, because as soon as we let off, we've lost all of that prime, and we've lost all of the blood flow. As soon as we let go, it takes about 15 more compressions to get all that blood flow back up to the brain. The idea here is to keep the blood flowing with the oxygen-rich blood up to the brain and continue to try and reset the heart. As the AED rolls down to a 2-minute cycle, these two compressors, or the compressor is going to switch with the ambulance driver on compressions. You don't want to have any more than 2 minutes compressions, and they're going to coordinate. The first compressor is now going to go to ventilations, and the other ambulance driver is going to go back to compression. Here at Station 31, we have a standardized CPR position chart. It goes over each position, the equipment that we come in with, and the roles. So here, as you can see, the ambulance driver, they bring the AED and the suction, and the aid provider brings the aid bag. The driver is responsible to go to the left side of the patient, apply the AED, and then rotate compressions, as we saw in the earlier videos. The aid provider is going to position on the right side of the patient, confirm the arrest with the ABCs, and then start compressions. As the engine arrives, the driver is going to grab the Lucas and the drug box from either the medic unit or the ambulance, depending on if you have a Lucas device. They're going to prep the Lucas device, and they're not going to do compressions at the initial time. They're going to try and gather some patient info, and they are also going to be a runner. The engine officer is going to be the timer and the record keeper. They're going to use the stopwatch and the CPR kit to keep the full time, and they're going to also keep record of all of the interventions that are done and the times they are done. This is going to assist the reporting processes to have the exact time that each intervention was done, as well as what was found in each rhythm check. And finally, the E3, they're going to have the engine aid bag. They're going to position at the head, and they're going to do the airway and ventilations and manage the Lucas if need be. And the medic, well, they're just going to do their monitor in the red bag, and they're going to do their medic stuff.